Welcome in to episode 8 of the Hooley Brothers podcast, Mike. Fire the cannons. The Tampa Bay Bucks have won Super Bowl 55. That's where we're going to start today. I got my Brady jersey on. I'm glad it's a throwback because it has the red built in there. Obviously, wish this was being done on the Patriots side, but Tom gets ring number 7. Can you
And
believe
even and even I accidentally wore an Expos shirt, forgetting that's the franchise that drafted him for baseball.
Yes, exactly.
So
Exactly.
I still,
But absolutely remarkable. Again, going into the game, I was nervous. I was leaning Bucks, but a lot of that was because of my heart. My head was kind of thinking Chiefs, and I just didn't see this game coming at all.
the Chiefs didn't score a touchdown. I think this is the last time,
No,
first time since college, Mahomes lost by more than one score. I did not think that this was possible. I was,
no,
I was,
and
I mean, the Tampa Bay was playing their best game, best football at the end of the year in the playoffs, but I definitely could see them winning and putting up 31 points, but
yeah,
definitely said
hmm
they would have at least on a good defensive day kept them to 24.
yeah, exactly.
I couldn't believe they held 9, no touchdowns.
No, exactly. It's absolutely crazy if you think about how this game went down. And I know I think I even mentioned part of my rationale for thinking the Bucks might have a chance in this game was the injuries in the offensive line. Eric Fisher, obviously a huge name there for Kansas City going down. I thought that's something that was going to keep them in the game. I didn't think it was going to be the game changer and completely let Tampa Bay run away with this game. Again, Tom Brady's been in the Super Bowl. This was his 10th time around. By far the biggest blowout that he's been involved in, whether as a winner or a loser in that game. So it's crazy that this is the end of that happened against such a dynamic Chiefs offense that we've seen in the last few years here. So I honestly can't believe it broke down the way it did. I kept thinking almost a reversal was going to happen for Brady with the score the way it was. I think especially when it was about 28-9. I'm like, well, that's kind of after the first touchdown the Patriots scored 4 years ago. Does Mahomes have it in him? But it just nothing ever came together for the Chiefs.
Yeah, I did kind of hold on to like you said, if there's any team that could do it,
Mm-hmm.
it would be the Chiefs, just of how they can play with such great tempo and get up and down the field at a will. And
Right.
like I said, they always can get that weird turnover. So if it was just one quick score and a turnover, got them another score, it could be like a 28, and if they got two twos, 28-25, and the next thing you know, you see
Right.
a
Exactly.
stop, or if there's time right now, non-set kicking a field
Mm-hmm.
goal, which it's a Super Bowl. Crazy things have happened. Clearly, with a quarterback has more
Right.
wins than any franchise. Crazy things
Exactly.
happen in
And
this game.
especially with that Chiefs offense, how fast it can go too. And
Mm-hmm.
we've seen it even last year when they fell down 24-0 to Houston. That wasn't even them coming back to barely win the game. They came back and ran away with that thing, which shows you how fast that offense could put up touchdowns. So
Yeah, I think it was like
yeah,
third and
definitely
15,
if any
third
team
and
could have done it,
15,
it's them.
third and 15 in their own zone with 7 minutes left, down by 10 points, and they won the game by 11.
Yeah, yeah. So exactly, yeah, that's actually a good point. I can't believe. I think that's the weird thing too. I forget that about last year's game is that about the 10-point comeback, but yeah, they won the game by 11. So it's strange that they ended up winning. I think when I double checked the score with you, I think I thought it was closer than 31-20 last year. But either way, yeah, I mean, Brady looks great in the first part of the game. I think he had to do less as the game went on, but him and Gronk, man, it's funny because his blocking role that he's played hasn't done a lot from an offensive standpoint as far as catching passes, scoring touchdowns, stuff like that. And he came out of the gate hot. 2 touchdowns. The first 2 touchdowns of the game were scored, and yeah, that connection was there, just like we've seen it for years here in New England.
Yeah, definitely the first touchdown was clearly a play drawn up for them to get the
Mm-hmm.
touchdown. So it was okay, that was okay, fine. And they probably had a goal line play lined up for Gronk in the game plan,
Mm-hmm.
the second the Packer game ended. But that second touchdown, I believe that Brady extended a play with his great. He's not clearly not a mobile quarterback, but
Well,
sometimes
yeah.
he can dictate the pocket so well, and he just was able to step out. All the pass rush came off field, was able to step up,
Mm-hmm.
extend the play, and he threw an absolute seed. And Gronkowski
Yeah.
did a great job of finding it in the end zone, made a great catch. I mean, it was right there in his hands, but that, like I said, it was humming. So he's
Yeah.
able to put the two massive hands around it. So that one's the touchdown where I was like getting throwbacks too. But
Yeah, exactly. And it's funny because, and we'll kind of get to the defense in a little bit, but I think that was such an important part for Tampa because they seemed like they left points on the board early, and that's usually where you kind of fall behind too fast to Kansas City and never really have a chance to come back. Obviously, the first possession or two didn't go well, and then they got all the way down to the goal line after it was 3-0, and I actually agreed with the call. Whenever you're on the 1 yard line, I never want to kick an 18-yard field goal unless it's like you're down by 3 or something like
Mhm.
that, or the situation really calls for it. Early in the game, I'm always like, if you're down here and you can't punch it in, like, well, one, you probably don't deserve to score, and then two, and what ended up happening is you pin Kansas City in deep even if you don't get it. So I mean, it obviously proved to not cost them anything, but I actually did agree with that call at the time.
Well, yeah, because again, it was either the end of the first or beginning of the second quarter when
Hmm.
Ronald Jones got, I think, stuffed like 3 times in a row. I mean, we did see the shift to Lenny after that for a reason, but
Yeah.
it's a calculated risk because especially when you're playing that potent of an offense of Kansas City, if they're able to keep it to a 7 point game, because that would have been a 10-3 field
Hmm.
goal, that could be like, okay, great stop. Let's take a deep breath and then reset the field position. I know Pringle and Hardman are two speedsters that end up usually returning
Hmm.
a lot of the kicks. So it's like if they had decent field position, they could have just reset and marched down the field. I believe the game really came down to that drop. I think they might have gotten one first down. They get out of their own end zone, but there's a
Hmm.
third down where Mahomes had Kelsey, and I can't remember if this
Yeah.
one hit him in the hands or hit him in the face, but that was the
Combo both or something. Yeah.
yeah. So that was and then there was a calculated risk because then you're able to flip the field position even, and then the punter didn't do any favors because the first punt was great, but then they were off,
Yeah.
and there's a like the
Yeah.
false start or something. So then the second one ended
Right.
dud.
That was a
So
huge swing.
I believe, yeah, the touchdown drive was only 38 yards
Yeah.
on the touchdown to Gronk,
Yeah.
and yeah, that was a third and yeah, it was wild. That
Yeah.
that
Uh,
sequence of the game kind of like really just flipped the momentum because then it was field goal and then a touchdown right before the half, and it was 21 to
mhm.
6. I mean, it was just a bend don't break because again, like because at that point it's like, oh well, the game wouldn't be over if they scored a touchdown to make it 14-10, but held them to a field goal. So it was 14-6, and then Brady was in the sneak in the touchdown for the half like he always done.
Mhm.
And then it's like, okay, 15-point game at halftime. And then it's like, well, the Chiefs get the ball back, and if they're going to score a touchdown, they don't even need the two. It's an
Yeah, you
8-point
kept
game.
thinking it was there. Yeah.
And then it just another field goal. And then it was another touchdown right after that. And you're like, oh, this is
Yeah.
like
Mhm.
this is when you start looking at the screen like, how is he going to do this again?
Yeah, and
In his
it's
first
crazy.
year on a new team.
Yeah, first that's what's really the crazy part about all this. You add everything up, being 43 years old, going to a branded team, going to a team that while it had talent, and say what you will about our boy Jameis, but they were a 7-9 team last year, with Jameis putting up 5,000 yards passing. And I know that's kind of, again, fantasy numbers there, and he had, the 30-30 year with the touchdowns and interceptions, but still, this was a 7-9 team, and obviously, Brady brought in guys like Gronk and Brown, but it's not like he went to. I'm trying to even think of it like if you went to the 49ers last year and like you upgraded from Garoppolo to Brady, I think that would have been an
And
easier
like
lift
everyone
because
stayed healthy this year,
yeah,
or if
exactly.
we went to like the
But
Rams or
yeah, or
like
like even a team like the Colts or something. Like
yeah,
if a team that was really a team that made the
domes,
playoffs anyway this year. Yeah,
yeah, dome stout on defense. It's,
yeah, yeah. Obviously, the 49ers didn't make the playoffs this year. They had a lot of problems there, but I think you see my point. Like, it's not like he went to a team that was a wagon that was just missing a quarterback.
mm-hmm.
He went to a team that was, again, 7-9 a year ago, and he was obviously a huge upgrade. And then they were 7-5 through their bye week,
I
and you
think
really didn't know it.
that was
Yeah,
like
yeah.
another
Sorry.
thing to say. Like the beginning of the year, they're the most penalized team. You you saw them,
Mm-hmm.
even though I think they made it somewhat close week one against the Saints. It seemed like they're like, okay, we think the Bucks might win, and then after week one, you're like, okay, the Saints are still the cream of the crop in the NFC South at that
Mm-hmm.
time, and then
Yeah.
yeah, the Thursday night game in Chicago where he lost track of downs. And it's like then you combine that with the offseason, he was walking in different houses. It's like, is he just losing his mind right now? Did he just go
Yeah.
to
Oh,
Florida to
yeah.
work?
Yeah. Like, yeah. The night game in Chicago with the the 3 or 4 downs, and then the late night game against New Orleans the second time around, and you're like, the running joke going is past his bedtime. He's getting too old. Can't play these night games. What's going to happen in
Yeah,
the
and
playoffs?
then they played any good team. I think it was back-to-back weeks where they lost to the Rams at home Monday night, and then at home to the Chiefs, and they went down to
Mm-hmm.
7-5. And it's like, yeah, of course, like they're good enough to beat up on some of the down teams. Like I saw that
Yeah.
I saw that Detroit blow coming from a mile away,
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, I think it was just the momentum they can see like in the second half of that Saints game, just absolutely destroying Breeze, and then
Yeah.
how hot they got off the Green Bay. It was like
Mm-hmm.
he put it together somehow. I wasn't sure if it was just his play in the field or his off the field, like
Yeah.
not
It
teaching them how to win. They're clearly professional football players, but just something about a
but
championship,
not, I mean, a lot of
a
guys
champion,
they had
a
gone to that
championship,
level.
championship culture walking through the door. So
Absolutely. Because, I mean, you talk about only, I mean, off the top of my head, I mean, only him and Gronk had, had that season Super Bowl experience. Fournette had gone to an AFC Championship game against the Patriots. So yeah, I mean, even though like you said they're professionals, but getting to this level, getting to the Super Bowl somewhere, so it's been 10 times now. Uh, he knows what it takes to get there, and I think a combination of what he did on the field, like you said, off the field as well. Because that's the thing too. As good as Brady was in this game, it's funny because my whole perception of the first half was that they were just moving the ball again. They put up 31 points, but you look, I mean, 21 to 29, so the accuracy was there, but only 201 yards passing. Fournette had 89 yards rushing, so it's not even like he had a huge rushing attack. It's just funny that they were able to put up these points, but really not crazy numbers. And I think that's where. No, I'm sorry. I looked. You might have something to add there. We can
oh
get to the
yeah,
next
well
one in a
Jones
second.
also had 61 yards rushing, and Fournette didn't have like I think he
That's
finished
true. Yeah.
yeah like the big carry for the touchdown.
Right. Right.
So like it seemed like they were able to run the ball well, and they
Mm-hmm.
benefited from, like I said, the good field position on
That
that punt
that
drive.
punt. That's because that's 7 points right there.
And I think there
Like
are
you said.
some PIs that helped them get down the
That's also a
field.
good point. Yeah. That's also, yeah, because again, Mike Evans had a couple of those. So those are also yards that aren't really getting added to the passing totals there. So, yeah, no, very good point on that one. But I think this is going to be kind of a transition as we flip the ball here. I think there's a lot of debate. I mean, it's something that it's going to sound like I'm a bit more of a hard on Tom, but I think the Super Bowl MVP award is such a like, as long as your QB really doesn't screw anything up or has a remotely good game, they get it. Again, I was a huge champion 40 years ago that James White should have been an MVP of that game. I still believe that. As
They
good as
got
Brady was.
they got it right in Atlanta with Edelman. If you're going to give it to an offensive player,
Well, yeah, I mean that game was just such a disaster. I think Edelman was kind of like the
like
only
again, like
option at that
he had
point.
10 catches for like 130 yards. Like okay, like
Yeah, in
he was
that
the only thing
game,
that stood out in the box score.
right. Like say it's almost like if Kansas City had the exact same offensive game, but Tampa didn't do anything. It's like if you gave Kelsey, I don't even know, like just similar stats. But basically going off of that is, so yeah, again, I thought White was the MVP a few years ago. And then this year, I don't know, I could have gone two different ways besides Brady in this one, because I think on offense, just again, especially because Brady didn't fully light it up again, only 201 yards passing. If we're going with an offensive player, I might have gone Gronk. Like
Me
if
too.
we're being honest, I think he
Leading
was
receiver,
deserving on
2
offense.
touchdowns, definitely helped out the run game. I think he was
Yeah,
probably the best player offensively on the field.
yeah. Like if he had those numbers and Brady put up like 5 touchdowns or 300 yards, sure, yeah, exactly. But again, he got 2/3 of the passing touchdowns. And then conversely, I mean, it's tough because, in a 31-point game, I don't know if you ever could go on the defensive side of the ball here, but man, Devin White really made a case, because I think he was up there as well as someone who could have maybe walked home with this award.
Uh, I mean, you said yeah, 31 points for them, but you look at the other side. They kept
Yeah,
9 points to
the
the
Kansas City Chiefs. This isn't, yeah,
last 3 years, the most prolific offense in football.
yeah, this isn't the like 2000 Trent Dilfer led Ravens offense that you held to 9 points. This is Patrick Mahomes, one of the most dynamic offenses
I
we've
mean,
seen,
I
holding
mean,
them to nine
you could
points.
even argue it's more impressive than holding the Rams 2 years ago to 3 points.
I agree. I think it definitely is. I,
Yeah.
I think so. Absolutely. Because, um, I mean, as we saw this year, I mean, Goff already got traded since then, so it's
Yeah.
not like he's anywhere near where Patrick Mahomes is. I don't think any of their weapons are near anything that Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelsey are. I mean, like again, that was a good team with LA, but they
Mhm.
kind of were a bit more balance on both sides of the ball. Their offense wasn't anywhere near what Kansas City here is. So yeah, I think the 9 points this time around is more impressive than that one.
Yeah, and I definitely see on the defense, Devin White was the big guy. I mean, they did the
Mm-hmm.
defensive line between Pierre Paul and Shaq Barrett both had great games, but that was more of
Vita Vea got in
yeah,
Mahomes' face as well.
there's a lot of hurries that didn't get at the sacks, which
Right, right.
it doesn't show up in the box score. But if you're making a case for MVP, you need to show up on the box score too.
Yeah, exactly. So I think White was very fitting. I mean, maybe just because I mean White clearly I think led the way, but it really was a team effort. Because if you look about, I mean, like Levante David was everywhere.
Mhm.
Winfield obviously with the the peace sign in Tony's
Interception.
face there. Sue had 1.5 sacks, which I didn't know, kind of on the first time around, and but I don't know. But I'm just looking at White. I mean, 12 total tackles, 8 solos, and an interception. Just I don't know. I think he might have been either him or Gronk were one. The other one was two, and then I think I had Brady three as far as
Yeah.
my list goes for the
hmm
MVP. So
I think that was more of a culmination, like you said. Like I don't think any other quarterback could have done that
yeah,
the entire
yeah, no,
year. I mean,
yeah,
a lot of
exactly.
quarterbacks could have won this game with their defense playing that good, but
Right, exactly,
they got them.
exactly.
They got them there.
Yeah,
He
I
was
think
great.
if you put say Brady gets you here, and then at the last second you swap out last year's Jimmy Garoppolo, I still think they win the game. I don't think he puts up the numbers that Brady
Yeah,
does, but it might be more of a rushing attack or maybe a lower scoring game. But like you said,
they put up
the
20
defense is
points
kind of
against the Chiefs last year. I think they would have put up 20
exactly. So if you could hold
points.
them to 9, in theory, yeah, exactly. So, um, yeah, that's something that's why I'd almost even I'd lean either Gronk or Devin White. Again, I think with 31 points, like I said, like you said, it's tough because you only let up 9. So I don't know. I would have gone with one of those two guys over Brady. But at the end of the day, another MVP for Tom. I'm not going to complain too much about that one. But yeah, really just an amazing job because I think a lot of people talk about. I think Byron had a good game on the offensive side of the ball, but Todd Bowles, whatever he did on defense, completely works to perfection. And it's just the Chiefs aren't easy to figure out, and they were able to do it.
It just came down to the trenches. Like
Mm-hmm.
you I think they paid a lot of attention. It's hard to say. It's like, oh, you pay a lot of attention to like both Hill and Kelsey, and it's like, oh, if you double both of them, it should be easy. It's like, well, if you want to actually cover other guys, you can't actually blitz. You need to keep it to three.
Exactly.
You need to keep it to 3 and 4 man rushes. Which
Mm-hmm.
okay, let's say they double Hill and Kelsey. If Mahomes has time to dissect and they're both very talented, they can even break a double team if he has
Yeah.
time. So the fact that he didn't have the time to get it out, and it was a lot of like, yeah, he was like hitting people on the hands on his rollouts and falling over and throwing hitting people in the hands. But it
Yeah.
was all like tough catches there. I mean,
Right.
there
And
were there were a lot of bad drops too. But like I meant
absolutely.
more of like the extremely broken plays around the goal line where he would snap the ball and really have to sprint back 15 yards.
Did you see he ran like 470 yards or something before like throwing
Yeah,
the ball in that
yeah.
game? That I heard that number that was absurd. I think they were all on like the last drive of the end of the game there, but no, and I think that's. I mean, again, your personnel definitely helps, and I think it was smart too because I feel like they were doubling Hill to kind of take him out of the game, and
Mm-hmm.
then that's where having a guy like Devin White is so important because he's big enough and fast enough to hang with a guy like Kelsey. So you didn't really necessarily have to double. You kind of had him there. So it was really just, I think, making up one more spot that maybe if you're doubling Hill with, with a couple of guys with, the corner of the safety coming in. So, yeah, again, I think it was just, you took advantage of the weaknesses there, right? And you didn't necessarily have to double Gronk with a guy like with White. And also you just took advantage of that clearly, weakened offensive line to Kansas City had to roll with in this game.
Yeah, it was just a great game plan, and even just the players in the field. Like I, I took all 11 of them.
Yeah, it's
I just don't can't believe single digits, no touchdowns.
no, I can't either. And that's what's going to lead kind of into my next topic here. So yeah, obviously, Bucks to the champs first time in 18 years. Kind of the one sandwiched in the middle of the Pats dynasty the first time around, with Brad Johnson at the helm there. So it's so crazy they were able to do so at home again. Brady's done so many like firsts and so many records in NFL history. It was only fitting he'd be the first one to host a Super
Yeah,
Bowl. Even though he's only had one chance because the first 20 years the game was never ever going to be in Foxborough. So he did it his first chance there, but probably the only chance, unless he sticks around another 10 and ends up back in Tampa again. But kind of going off of that, and again, we could gush all we want to about again how great Brady was in this game and pulled home ring number 7 here, but I want to get a little bit into the bets here because something that again I should have trusted the Bucks a little bit more. I got in on that teaser action, tease the over, and that's what killed me in this game because the Bucks did their part. They did their part. You told me Bucks are going to score 31 points. I would have been convinced that the over, at least my teased over down to 50 and a half would hit. I would have thought that was money in the bag right there. So
Yeah.
I can't believe it.
Like if you lost, you would have been like, wow, did the Chiefs really put up 41 points?
Right, exactly. I did not think I would lose the point total portion of that teaser for sure.
Yeah, I mean, that's why I kind of was like leaning over because I thought the Bucks would keep up, like because even like I thought like okay, even if I thought the Chiefs were gonna win, like okay, like even if they score like 24 to 30 points, like
right,
that's no way it's not going to. Like I was more worried on the Bucks side, but
yeah.
I just saw how much they were humming, and I guess I never really thought that the Chiefs would have this bad of a game. I didn't think it was possible, even when they were banged up. So like I was like more like okay, I'm gonna get a guaranteed like 31 points from the Chiefs. So I'm like,
right.
as long as the Bucks just keep up and keep it a 1-possession game, like
yeah,
because
you had a 56 and a half.
56.
Yeah, or 56.
So like
okay.
technically, I would have lost a 31-24 game by a point, but like it's the same thought process.
but yeah. So again, I went with the teaser there with Bucks +9. And the over 50 and a half. And I don't know, I it worked the week before. I did differently. I teased the under the week before. I should have stuck with that game plan. That's what I'm upset about. I should have teased the under to like 60 62, whatever it would have been there, 62 and a half. Because and I gotta keep this in mind, and this is probably gonna get me in trouble next year, but last year I'm imagining the point total was over 51.
No. Actually,
was it? It wasn't.
I would.
That might have been right on point.
Yeah, just like as like the Niners defense, so good.
Yeah, I mean low 50s though for today's NFL. So I don't know. I'd have to go back and look at that one. Obviously, we went way under the year before, but it's going to get me into trouble because it obviously whatever total was went way over the year before that. So and even I'm sure the years prior. But it seems like we're trending a little defensively now. So I mean, it'll obviously depend on the matchup, but I don't know. I definitely can't tease next year in the Super Bowl.
Yeah. Well, yeah, because that's the thing. I feel like I'm at a point where it's like, well, I got a lot of stuff wrong this year. Water's going to find its level next year, so should I just stick with the stick with my picks until
one would hope. One would hope, but I think at the end of the day, though, I think we talked about how at the end of the day you might feel kind of dumb. I don't really feel dumb because again, it didn't shake out. Again, if the Chiefs went and steamrolled and I lost on my +9, maybe I'd feel a little dumb. But I'd be clear, they're not because I mean the Bucks won this game, but thinking that this over would hit with the Bucks scoring 31 points, especially my teased over again down to 50 and a half, could have been last year's exact score, 31-20. If the Chiefs were able to get another touchdown to conversion, another field goal, whatever it might be, then this would have hit. So again,
even just turn other field goals to touchdowns. Like
yeah, no one could have seen that coming. No one could have seen it coming. So I don't feel that bad on that aspect. I just wish I didn't tie myself down to the two together. So
yeah, and then even for me, like I missed the outright Chiefs. Like I had probably the best.
Future.
The last 3 years, the most consistent team of football. I had them in a one game plus 170.
And who took them down?
Tom Brady.
Who does it take to take them down?
Yeah. So so I'll take that any day of the week. And football season's over, so the bank account can recover for a couple months.
Yeah, exactly. I didn't have too bad of a game because now I want to get our prop bets, and I actually my total deficit of the weekend was pretty much just my teaser there because I think I broke even on all my other bets, on all the prop bets, so it wasn't too bad. I was fired up after that coin flip went heads. I've been hearing tails never fails all week. Faded the public on that one, and it came out huge early on.
Well, I heard heads.
I know Mike feels the same way.
I heard heads running around me, so I did the same thing.
Okay, all right. So yeah, you faded. Yeah, we just Yeah, no, I just feel like that's such a thing. Not even just this game, just the whole Tails never fails mantra. I mean, I know people are being dumb, but I'm also just like, it's also 50-50. So,
Yeah,
um, yeah, I've been hearing that kind of all over the internet. So I went ahead. It's very pumped when that came down. Um, had a few of the first touchdown bets. None of those hit because I did not have Gronk as far as the player goes, but I did, Mike, and we had a brief moment there where I didn't think it hit. Was the jersey number on the
yeah,
first? There was some, I think, confusion there whether it was first score or first touchdown. So obviously Butker had the first score of the game, number 7. So when Gronk scored his touchdown, I went over 24 and a half on the jersey number, Gronk number 87. I'm here thinking I won. Mike texts me telling me that I didn't win. So I was a little bummed out. And then comes back later in the game saying that, a little bit of miscommunication there. That one did, in fact, hit. So I was pumped about that. Kind of a little bit of a roller coaster there on that one.
yeah. There was a couple mistakes, and it was 2 times where there was a bet that I knew I lost that I saw was
Mm-hmm.
broken on my thing. And it had me as a winner, and I'm like, I'd rather just lost. Like, it gave me false hope. I'm like, well, what if it never corrects? Like,
Right, right.
so
This was also Mimosa Mike on Monday. So he
I
had
I
a few
never
drinks that
I,
day.
ne- I never texted anything that was wrong to you, but
No, no, no. But no, just it was a fun day to, again, even when your team's on it end, especially in the pandemic and everything. It's just as long as I could still eat a ton of food and have some drinks, I was happy.
mhm,
But again, yeah, the bets are always fun. Like I said, especially those little weird ones when you get them right. It's just
yeah.
such a high to be riding. Um, but the only thing I had on the game itself, not even the game itself, was the halftime show. I know that it was probably one of the most polarizing shows I think I've ever seen online as far as reaction goes. And it's funny because I thought I kind of got the pattern. Like, again, if you're a fan of the weekend, I think you really liked it, and if not, you kind of weirded out and didn't know what was going on. So again, I don't know if you were getting a similar vibe online, Mike.
Well, yeah. I mean, I missed most of it because we played a little Mario Kart at halftime.
Oh, come
So
on, for the Super Bowl too. I get it every other game.
I literally brought out a second TV, tried to plug in the cable to it, but
Okay,
I was getting rushed between races, so I never really got it in hand. By the time I got it
all
up,
right.
like 2 songs were
Well,
left.
right.
But
Well, I think
like,
okay.
yeah, I mean, I did see like over the last couple of days, like I've seen like not the full show, but like parts that I missed, like
Hmm.
him with
Yeah.
the up close camera and stuff. Like it
Well,
seemed
that's turned into a fun meme. Yeah.
it seemed very polarizing for everyone else in the world. But I saw it, I'm like, yeah, that was okay. Like,
Well, no, I mean, I think I liked it really personally. I think it's because I'm a fan of the weekend, and
well,
I
I
think
mean,
what you know. Sorry, go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think my friend Dave likes the weekend, and he literally texted during it like, "This is just awful." And it's like,
Really, that's surprising because I don't know. I mean, like if I can bop to the music, I know the words to everything, then I'm down with it. And I think a lot of obviously the face bandaging. I mean, like that you kind of have to get what's going on there. One thing I will say though, so I was watching the game at our parents' place. Dad thought it was a pretty good show, and he doesn't know anything about the weekend. So that's kind of the other side of the coin there, where I think a lot of people that didn't know really anything about him thought it was very weird and didn't like it at all. But Dad was a fan of it. He was entertained.
could definitely see Dad liking it. He likes that type of music. Like he
Yeah,
wouldn't know
yeah,
anything about it, but he likes it when he
yeah,
hears it. But
exactly.
I
He
do
said
think
he thought it was a
I
good
do
show.
just think 60% of the world, if this might be even low, and definitely higher in sports media, are just gonna hate everything.
Yeah, fair enough. Hmm.
Unless it's like
Again, I'm
unless it's
not
like unless
saying.
it's like
I mean,
Bruce Springsteen and
right. I mean, I really liked it. I probably even I I again I had a good time. I don't know if it was the drinks or whatever was going on, but I'm not even necessarily putting it up there as like one of the all time greats. But I mean, I thought it was good, and maybe it's just because he played as Big Jim Murray on Sports Today said he gave it a 6.5. I could respect that. He said he played the hits. That's all you can really do,
yeah,
right?
like
I mean,
just the songs you hear in the radio, and I'm just like,
right. I mean, like I knew them. I don't think I even realized how many weekend songs I knew that well. And no, I thought it was a good show. So anyone else that didn't like it, sorry. Hopefully, better luck next year. But yeah, just wanted to kind of quickly go
early
over
predictions
that.
for next year.
Yeah, I mean, we can definitely hit on that and something. I think
I
specifically with
meant for
these two teams.
I meant for the
Oh, for the halftime show. Yeah. I'm trying to think. I'm trying to think of someone who's like been around a little while, but they're kind of like still
I
on
got
the way. Maybe you got one. So why don't you start with it?
Ariana Grande.
Oh, dude, I would. Don't get me going like that because I would absolutely love
Well,
that.
because I
I
feel
am
like
a
it was
huge
like,
Ariana fan.
well, because I think it was like Timberlake to Maroon 5. Then last year they did like the J Lo and Shakira, and then back to the pop, like the male lead. Wouldn't be surprised they flip it
Kind
back to
of.
like a
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
female one. And I'm just trying to think who's like probably like
Right.
the most songs in the radio the
Mm-hmm.
last 2 or 3 years. Probably her.
Oh, don't get me excited. I would. I will give you all the credit in the world if that does happen, and I'll also be very excited if that does happen.
You owe me a
I'm trying to
pizza.
think if I have to make. Fine. I'll make a pick too. If we're maybe I'll stick on the pop one just because it's the only thing coming to mind. Might go with Lizzo.
Okay.
You
Well,
know,
do
she's been cracking out some hits lately. Maybe the Minnesota Vikings will be there. Hopefully, that could really go well for her. So just off the top of my head, you kind of got me on
I literally
thinking about kind of
pulled
where to
that out of
start
my
there.
caboose too. So
Yeah. Oh no, no, no. I know you. Trust me. I don't know if you have any good contacts. If you do, please, forward them this way. But no, just yeah. First thing that came to my head there. So,
I think if I had the
um,
contacts, I probably got a couple tips, like a couple of those prop bets.
yeah. So run the tape here on episode 8. If either one of those come true. And speaking one to wrap up the prop bets. Very disappointed on the Gatorade. I didn't see it, but my pick obviously didn't come through there because it was blue, right?
Yeah, yeah. Well, also
Yeah.
shout out to Jess Lee, just texted me during the day, placed $10 in the coin toss and $10 in blue, and she made a nice $65 out of nowhere. Beginner
Yeah.
luck.
Yeah. Exactly. So I was feeling the OG lemon lime, but
And meanwhile, I watched like every game of the year and then losing like 80.
well, yeah. I don't think you're watching the Gatorade shower in those games or the coin toss that intensely. So, but yeah. So again, that was the Super Bowl. Again, a great game. Ready to do it again. Not to get too much into next year, but just for these two teams specifically, I don't think we expect the Chiefs to be going anywhere. Especially again, I'm not sure what everyone's contract situation is, but they seem to getting clones of Tyreek Hill and Mecole Hardman. We have Pringle in the mix, to Marcus Robinson. They just seem like they're going to keep churning those guys out. They're great at drafting that position. Kelsey, the same thing. So I don't see them going anywhere. They're the greatest player in the league on their team. So
I think we pretty much can chalk in the
AFC Championship.
AFC Championship game in Arrowhead for the
Yeah,
foreseeable future. It's been 3 straight
and
years.
maybe the Bills will be back. Maybe the Browns make a push. Uh,
Maybe somehow we can get our poop together and
That's not happening. We'll just move past that one. I think our best chance is making the playoffs. I don't think we'll win 2 games to get there. Baltimore, if Lamar can figure out his passing game, that's someone else who could go in there. But I think it might be 4 straight years in Arrowhead hosting that game. And then on the other side, we kind of talked about it, but I really kind of don't see a way that they're definitely gonna win that division next year, right?
oh, of course. I mean, it's going to
Like,
be probably Jameis or Hill in New Orleans. Um, Probably going to be starting a rebuild in
yeah.
Atlanta. I'm not sure what
Mm-hmm.
they're going to do with Ryan, but it's probably going to be Zach Wilson is what I'm seeing everywhere going there. And then
Maybe Dalton too.
Carolina probably not sticking with Teddy, but I think I love
Either
Teddy.
way,
That's probably the ceiling with him will probably be his ceiling's probably like with that team is like 9-7.
but either way, I don't see like a Trey Lance coming in there and leading him to the Super Bowl in
Yeah,
year one. Even if either way, I don't see them being a contender next year. So I think depending on what the Bears do, I think it comes down to Tampa, Green Bay, and then whatever happens in the NFC West. With really any team there could win it, depending on what the Niners do at quarterback. But I think that's going to be kind of the main, kind of what's going on there in the NFC. And you have to remember the Bucks, since they came in second this year, that's who they're going to line up with. In the NFC East and the West, they're going to play the Bears and then the Giants. Is that right? I don't know. Oh no, they played that whole division actually. So it's I
yeah,
think it would be. I think it's going to be the Bears and then the Rams. So
yeah.
Rams, that'll be a tough matchup. But and then I think they play they play the AFC East.
AFC East.
So the Bills will be a tough game, but they could easily run through the other 3.
Yeah, because I'm pretty sure they're hosting the Bills because I know they're coming to New England.
Yeah,
And
which will
and
be
then
its
that's
own thing.
probably then between. I guess if they go to New York, it'll probably be slightly easier. I'm not sure.
Right. So again, I think they'll win a lot of games next year and be right back in the same spot. Maybe even hosting some of these games that
Yeah.
aren't the Super Bowl.
Hmm.
Um, so yeah, I expect both these teams to be well in the mix next year. We could see a rematch. We don't see it too often in the NFL. The same two teams go back. We've seen obviously the same one go back, but I don't know. Has that even happened since like the '90s? Since like the Bills, and I don't even know if they ever faced the same team twice, really.
Maybe the Cowboys back to back the last two.
That's what I think.
I
Two
think,
out of the
yeah.
yeah.
I think
So
it was. I think they played the NFC Beast the 4 straight years. I think it was the Giants, the R
hmm
words, and then the back-to-back Cowboys.
yeah. So yeah, I don't think it's happened since then. So one of them probably won't, but who knows? And then yeah, we'll obviously get
I
into
mean,
predictions as the years
yeah,
goes on.
figure out the quarterback cycle. But I guess I
Yeah,
think about it. I wouldn't be shocked if it's the same Final Four. Maybe flip the home.
yeah,
Maybe flip the home
right.
field in the NFC.
I say that, but I feel like I think that every year, and then someone falls apart, and then I don't
Uh,
know.
it was. I
Oh, I'm not saying it's
I
wrong.
think
I'm just
looking
saying I
in
feel like I
revisionist
think that
history is
every year.
definitely true, but I definitely didn't see the Titans getting back there again.
That's true. That's a good point.
And
I guess I'm thinking about like years past, but
and the way they lost, I definitely had a feeling that I didn't expect them to miss the playoffs, but I thought that San
the
Francisco
Niners.
would
Yeah,
revert back a little bit.
yeah. Yeah, for sure. And you talked about quarterbacks, and again, we'll kind of have all season to get into the nitty gritty of it. I do want to go through that sheet I was talking about before, kind of going through quarterbacks, maybe cut up next week or some point. But two brief points on that for the NFL. A lot of reports coming out that I feel like I've heard it for days now, so it's just like I don't know RB tease so much. I mean, I guess the Super Bowl came around, you probably wanted to wait for that to wrap up, but everyone seems to think that a Carson Wentz trade is happening very soon. It also sounds like their asking price is very high, so kind of
Well,
seems like an impasse there. Maybe that's also what's slowing things down.
even 15 minutes ago, Chicago growing impatient with the Eagles after about possible Wentz trade feels like they overvalue him.
Yeah,
Like direct
absolutely.
report,
Two
even
first, two
yeah,
first for a guy that you benched this year.
yeah, like even I'd say like one in the 20s this year is probably the best case.
Yeah, exactly. I agree. Like, yeah, if you're at the top half, I mean, then you're probably drafting someone, so it probably would be back
Yeah,
half. And even then, it's like, yeah, that and that's it. Maybe like a fourth or fifth with
like
that.
if I'm Indy, maybe I'd give up the. I think they're at a 20 or 21.
Yeah, or even
I like,
Chicago at like where are they like late
well,
teens? I think
do they have their pick again this year?
Chicago.
Yeah, I can't keep up
No,
with.
they do. They do. I think they're 18. I think they do
Yeah,
have it. You know, the Khalil Mack trade.
yeah. I was like, is that over? All these trades, I was
I
like,
think it's over.
yeah.
I think it's over.
I'm in more of Indy with the whole getting him together with Reich. Like that's why I feel like he's only worth that high of a first round pick because you know that he can work well with your coach.
Right. I agree. I think that's kind of the best fit for him. But Chicago, I also get like they're just stuck in this never ending cycle of not having a quarterback, but also playing well enough to not end up in the top five or anything. So, well,
Honestly,
but when they did, they drafted Mitch. What?
I
Bring
just
back Mitch.
bring back bench.
I don't know if you can. There's a lot of times I am just like, we'll just pick up the fifth year and just see what happens. But I don't know. Just that seems like too much back and forth. Then the whole thing with Foles this year.
they,
Wasn't
I,
that isn't that part of that trade too? Would Foles maybe go back to Philly for the third time?
That'll be funny. But I don't know.
Um,
I feel like, of course, he's nothing. I'm not calling him on the same level as any of the two quarterbacks that got drafted right behind him. But I feel like he's got a raw deal there, like at least statistical wise.
a little bit, but then I don't know. I watched some of their games down the
Yeah,
stretch, especially
he
the matchup against the Saints there, and it's just I'm like, I don't know. Granted, the Saints defense played a good game that game, but yeah, I don't know. It's just I don't know if you can. I mean, yeah, if you have absolutely nothing going on, sure, why
no, of
not?
course. Like
But
I would be like kicking the tires. I wouldn't be giving it 2 seconds for a small
yeah,
upgrade. Went two first.
see where the dust settles. I think
Yeah,
with this market, maybe
and of
even the
course
draft and
be
everything.
aggressive if you can get a good deal. But like
Mhm.
I'm saying, that's not a bad fallback plan. Like I'd rather be falling back to Mitch Trubisky than Cam Newton and Jarrett Stidham.
Which also might happen, depending on you definitely can. I mean, I don't know. I guess Stidham's on his rookie deal, so maybe both.
Working out,
I don't
hey,
know.
well,
Unless Cam
he's
gets like
working out with Jordan Palmer. No worked out with Jordan Palmer. Josh Allen.
okay.
take
I
that for
mean,
what it
my
is.
only hope if that situation comes back is that Cam gets like injected with, I don't know, something to make him back to his 2015 days, but I don't see
Something.
that happening
Yeah,
anytime soon.
yeah.
But either way, they need to get. I mean, they need more help. I think defense is okay last year. Like they great by any means, and they're getting some guys back. It sounds like they expect the depths to return. Talking, high tower and Chung on pass catchers, and I think that's really, on top of what you're going to do a quarterback, whether it's bringing these guys back or going through the draft or going through free agency, you got to get someone for them to throw the ball to. But
A
yeah,
lot.
so we'll see. Yeah, a whole lot to talk about as far as that goes, and we'll have more of that. But yeah, again, like you said, sounds like the Bears are growing impatient with the Eagles, valuing Wentz too high, and then the Colts, kind of the other team, really rumored there as well. So again, trade expected to happen soon, but again, I think there's this impasse of where these teams uh, value Carson Wentz. But also, and then I didn't write this down, but also the situation out of Vegas, the Derek Carr, Marcus Mariota, they're much more willing to trade Mariota as long as they want to roll with Carr for at least a short term there. So another guy that could potentially be on the move. It sounds like they do want to stick with Carr though.
Yeah, I think that probably is the call because, like, hey, say what you want. Derek Carr did beat the Chiefs, and I think that
He's the only other
after
person besides Brady this year to beat Mahomes anyway.
Mahomes, yeah,
Yeah.
because like I said, definitely the short term. Like, okay, like he already have you're committed to Carr a little bit more than Mariota.
Mm-hmm.
I think
Right.
Mariota still has like one more year of like short money, and he did look good in that Thursday game. So if you're just thinking this is a very small investment on our part, if we can get maximum value out of it, because like
Now
he
that sounds like a Bears trade.
yeah, or even because it's only like a couple $1 million, a Patriots trade.
Yeah. Yeah, but I'm just
I
saying,
mean,
like the Bears band-aids, like Mike Glennon and Nick Foles, like just like all these, like anything to just like put a band-aid on a much bigger prop.
no, I think there would be wait a year than pay him like $15 million.
True. That's also true. But yeah, and then other news that's kind of been the last 24 hours or so, and I don't get too deep on this because it sounds like very early stages here, but frustration with Russell Wilson in Seattle. That's something I didn't really see coming. I think the protection yeah, he's a guy that's been running for his life, I feel like, the last few years, and done great work while doing so. But I found that very interesting to hear today that I just pictured him as kind of a Seattle for life kind of guy, or at least 20 years, like Brady was doing here. So kind of surprising when I saw that kind of floating around the internet the last day or so.
Yeah, I don't see anything happening, but I think the entire league might be watching like, holy crap, this guy might play till he's 50 and be dominant. Like,
Brady, yeah.
yeah, like, and even just seeing like on the other side of the coin, like, oh, that might be the worst game Mahomes ever has,
Hmm.
or like the Mahomes in the offense has. So it's like, okay, I guess we're no longer waiting out Brady. Like Wilson can be like, okay, I lost him 5 years ago, but
Yeah.
he was like 38. I was like 25. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
and I was looking at it, he's
Yeah.
like, well, if I'm gonna get beat up, I might not make it until I'm like 38.
And then
We might
maybe
retire
that's
at the
when
same
Brady's
time.
that's when Brady's also retiring. Exactly.
So you might, I wouldn't be
Yeah.
around if I go in the league and be like, okay, this isn't good enough. Like,
Yeah. I mean, I think that's something that can be easily solved,
yeah, like,
through free agency and the draft, just kind of, building up. Because again, you have the weapons with, DK's obviously a force. You have, Lockett. Yeah, and Wilson's one of those guys that seems to make, kind of like a Brady or Rogers, like gets these guys, kind of throw him anyone. And I mean, as long as you have those top tier guys at your one, two,
yeah,
three spots,
like,
like he'll make any 4-5 receiver work. Like
yeah, because
he makes those guys.
even just like I'm thinking about that Super Bowl against the Patriots.
Oh,
Like
Chris
that, like
Matthews.
I was gonna say Chris Matthews. Like, when have you ever
Yeah.
heard his name before or after that game? Like,
Right. Yeah.
and he was probably the most lethal receiver. I mean, that might have been more on Kyle Arrington more than anything, but
And then even this year, was it, Swain?
yeah, Swain and
A guy I kept thinking was Tyler Lockett as a fantasy owner. It drove me crazy because
it
I
was
saw the 18,
18.
16. Yeah, yeah, exactly. So, yeah, I think if you're Seattle, and granted the defense needs some work, I mean, but you have your anchor and Jamal Adams in the back there.
That you gave up a
You
lot of
could.
draft capital for, so you're gonna need him
That's
to.
actually a good point. But I mean, I think on the picks that you do have in the later rounds, just like focus on the interior of both sides of
Both
the
sides
ball.
of
And I
the
think
ball.
you'll, yeah, and I think hopefully that'll kind of
Yeah, I mean,
quell his needs there.
if he's frustrated, this is when you don't let this get too far, and there just be.
Right, exactly.
I think you might have to let.
Communicate with him. Don't let a Deshaun happen. Exactly.
Yeah,
Like, don't keep him in the dark. But again, that's something we'll keep our eyes on. It sounds like again, Wentz is something that could be imminent. Russell Wilson, that's just I think again something that I found interesting that popped up in the last day or so, and obviously something we'll keep an eye on going forward. But that does it. That wraps up the NFL season. It's sad to say. Now we're kind of on the.
FCS.
That's true. FCS is coming back. I always forget that. Not that
Yeah,
it's one of those things I joke about. Probably really won't watch any of it. It'd be one thing if Trey Lance was playing. I mean, I get why he's not, but
yeah.
that'd be exciting at least.
Well, because even it's like, oh, like we always say, more football is better, and like the AAF kind of died out pretty quickly. The XFL did a pretty good job. I wasn't like
I was
intimately watching.
somewhat into the XFL. Yeah.
I was intimately watching, but I remember this is when you could do stuff. I remember like a couple like Saturday,
Yeah.
a couple Saturday afternoons. I would go to like South Boston and like with a couple of like friends, and it's like, oh, the Washington game's on, and like
Yeah.
seeing
The Defenders are on. Yeah.
yeah, like just like sit at a like won't intimately watch or look up like, oh, nice throw, Cardell, and like it was something like
Yeah. Yeah. That'd be on a bar. Exactly.
yeah.
Yeah. So, but for the NFL and FBS, again, we have a little bit of a while to go there. But again, the offseason's also crazy. I mean, again, I'm anticipating, there could be a lot of movement at the quarterback position. So again, something we'll keep an eye on. We'll do that activity soon, maybe early next week or something, just before
Yeah, because there'll
free
be
agency
some
and the draft go on.
there'll be some trades. The new year starts on St. Patrick's Day, and then the draft at the
The
end of
league
April.
year, yeah,
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 the
exactly.
only year
So
that matters.
right, but we've eaten the last bite of the sandwich, as our guy Big Cat said, and now we're on to basketball and hockey for now. And again, I think the sports world almost like, even though it doesn't, it almost seems like it shuts down these few days around the Super Bowl. Again, we just had our show on Saturday, so not too much here. We'll keep the ending pretty brief here. Just on the local teams, quick, the Bruins haven't played since our last show. So we mentioned the whole COVID situation with the Sabres that shut down the last two games. So again, they haven't played since last week here, and then now, so they'll resume tomorrow night against the Rangers. Puck drop at 7 there. But again, we'll keep an eye on the Bruins as they start to get back in action here, and as we shift gears, obviously spend a little bit more time on them and the Celtics and also the leagues as a whole. Celtics, something else I don't have too much to add. Again, the only thing since our last show, they played a game in Phoenix on Super Bowl Sunday. Lost to Devin Booker and the Suns. Really just not a great effort from anyone in that game. Jalen was still out. Tatum and Kemba didn't have great shooting nights, but they're back in action tonight. Late game, 10 o'clock as they wrap up their West Coast road trip. 2-2 so far, but to get above 500, they're going to have to face the best team in the league right now as far as records go in the Utah Jazz. So not an easy task at all tonight, but it's about 9 or so now, so this is a game I'll probably stay up for. Probably end up watching most of this game, stay up way too late on a work night, but last West Coast game for a while, so hopefully have a good one here for us. But yeah, Mike, again, not too much to add here. Let's see if you have a few notes for us here.
I think I did just think of something when it comes to NHL is having a little bit of a rough stretch with COVID. I know that they're getting some teams back, but I believe that Philly and Washington got canceled tonight due to an outbreak with the Flyers, so they're not playing until the
Which
earliest.
is wild because, like I said, they seem like they've done the best to contain it with the only interdivision play and the 2-game series and all that. And they seem like early on it was the NBA, but now they seem like they're kind of having more problems.
Yeah, so they're not playing till Sunday, and then the other two games that got canceled tonight are the Blues and the Wild, and the Coyotes and the Avalanche. So I know the Wild got shut down, now the Avalanche are shut down, which means that in order to keep like the schedule moving, they're just going to pair up the Blues and Coyotes to play together. But they just finished playing each other, so they're going to play 7 straight games against each other.
Oh my God!
I think they're just going to bank
Looking
out
like
that
playoff hockey.
they're just banking out that
7-game
part of the
series.
schedule. Because I was like, so I was kind of like confused because like I saw they played early last week, and I saw there was like 2 straight there, and then I was like watching a game on Tuesday. I think I was like watching ESPN for a second bottom line last night, and I saw they were playing again. I'm like, they're still playing, and then I saw this new briefing that they're playing again. So they played on February 2nd, and it was 2 in St. Louis, it was 3 straight in St. Louis actually, and then
Mm-hmm.
well the third one was because the Avalanche got canceled. So then they played again on Monday. And it was like, okay, we're done. And then the Wild got canceled, and the Avalanche were still canceled. So they just put it back together. So they're playing, yeah, Friday, Saturday, and Monday now after playing 4 straight last weekend.
Getting real familiar. I mean, the only thing that we got to have some sort of, that'd be awesome if they could somehow make the playoffs and end up facing each other. But no, it's just crazy. I mean, yeah, that's just kind of what we've had in the sports world the last, coming up on a full year now, last 12 months. Obviously, we're shut down for a little bit, but kind of since the resumption in late July, kind of what we've seen, just kind of making everything up on the fly and just sticking together what works. I know we saw a lot with baseball last year as well, but yeah, again, we'll keep an eye on that a lot going forward. Like I said, we were mostly honed in on the Super Bowl this weekend, but obviously we're gonna have to move off that. Get more into the winter sports here. So yeah, no, thanks for adding that for the NHL there. Again, like I said, I briefly hit on the Celtics and how the West Coast road trip was going. I'm not sure if you had much to add on that or the league as a whole.
No, it's just not really too much happened
Yeah.
across those two. I just saw that funny little note. I like to add
Yeah.
those in here or there.
One thing I did want to oh, actually no, there is something important I did want to cover with the NBA. Well, one, I did want to see if Jalen was playing tonight, but I'll check on that in a sec because I saw something trending and it led me to some very important news, Mike. So Magic Johnson listed his MVP candidates for the season. And those of you who don't know, this is not a short list.
It's like
Tier
14.
1. Yeah, actually, yes, 14. Tier 1, LeBron James, Kawhi Leonard, Giannis Antetokounmpo, Nikola Jokic, Kevin Durant, Luka Doncic, Steph Curry, and Joel Embiid. Celtics have 2 players in Tier 2.
Ooh.
Damian Lillard, Jason Tatum, Paul George, Anthony Davis, Jaylen Brown, and Bradley Beal. So it's a big honor if you're on that list. 14 guys. Magic really is the best at Twitter.
So he just named like half the NBA All Stars.
Yes, exactly. So yeah, you add another 10 to that list, and you'll get the NBA All Stars for the year. So I saw that trending, and I had to add it in.
Yes, and Jaylen Brown will play Tuesday night versus the Jazz.
Okay, good. So again, this could potentially be, I think, a huge game for the Celtics because it's one of those things where I see their record and I assume that they're not as high up in the standings as they are.
Yeah.
But between COVID and everything else, they're 12-10, but they're in 4th place. So
yeah, it's a lot
of kind of weird.
East is kind of cannibalizing itself for sure.
Shout out John Rothstein about what is that again? The A10?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah. The A10 cannibalizing itself. So yeah, again, a weird year for the Celtics. They've been kind of struggling. A lot of injuries. I think they've had very limited minutes with their starting 5. So I don't know if what you're declaring that is probably Kemba Smart, Jalen Tatum, and Tice. I'm guessing, but I think it's something like 21 minutes that all 5 have played together at the same time. So obviously some growing pains there, or not even growing pains, but just like pains as far as being able to get everyone on the court together. But yeah, like I said, they're still in 4th place, only a half game out of 3rd against Brooklyn. Philly and Milwaukee kind of separating themselves from the pack a little bit, but and then even the bottom half, it's just a weird year too because Toronto's sneaking their way back in, but Miami's completely dropped off. So seeing Charlotte and Atlanta on the bottom half of the Eastern Conference playoffs, if you will, if the season started today, is interesting as well. But obviously, they could rather play one of them than a team like the Pacers, which although they handled them easy last year, but yeah, again, we'll keep an eye on those standings. But yeah, again, right now, Jazz first in the league at 19-5, and where the Celtics are matched up tonight. And quickly, just to go over some college hoops, I know we mentioned it a little bit on Saturday's show. We had some ranked matchups there, so just wanted to again kind of briefly talk about that and just kind of quickly go through some scores. Again, don't want to spend a ton of time. That is kind of the next big event of the horizon coming up in early and mid-March as we get into conference tournaments and then the NCAA tournament. But yeah, going back to Saturday, Mizzou beat Alabama. Just going over the ranked matchups here. West Virginia able to close out Kansas. Illinois, 15-point victory against Wisconsin. And then big upset as Texas went down to Oklahoma State in double overtime. So those are kind of the notes from Saturday's action. And then we have a big game tonight. Just started, I believe, just at 9 o'clock here, Texas Tech and West Virginia. So we'll keep an eye on these ranked games going forward, but obviously the big stuff's kind of down the line here. But anyway, I just want to get those few tidbits. Not sure if you had much to add here, Mike.
No, I didn't really watch too much college hoops.
No, again, it was just so
I, I
dominating so
watched I
far this
watched
weekend.
some before the recording, but then once kind of like by the time we finished up, it was like Saturday at 6
Had
p.m.
your night,
Uh,
yeah,
I
exactly.
threw a little bit of like the Duke UNC game on, but they
Yeah,
weren't anything
I agree. I was watching some
special.
Marvel movies at that point,
Yeah,
but yeah. So again, that game on tonight. So again, just kind of quickly wanted to hit on these few items here. Mike, I know we got a baseball note.
yeah. So for
Prospectus came out today.
the analytical Twitter world really gets big, and this is a big day of the year because this is when they announced their baseball prospectus Dakota projection, which is basically just like it's an acronym I forget what it's for, but they're just running a bunch of like statistical Monte Carlo
A
situation.
nerd thing.
Yeah, it's like basically just like a lot of statistical analysis where they run like simulations based off rosters and stats in the
Okay,
past couple of years, and they project out the standings. And it's a
let's
big
hear it.
time for everyone who gets mad at it. Like AL East makes sense. You got the Yankees at about 97 wins, Tampa at 86, Toronto 85, Red Sox at 80. Like that sounds about right. Houston still winning in the AL West with the Angels doing a little better and Oakland kind of falling back towards like 500 as they lost a couple of players free agency between Simeon and Liam Hendricks.
Mm-hmm.
But I think the big shocker would be AL wise would be the AL Central, where of course you got Kansas City and Detroit at the bottom of the division,
At
and
the
Minnesota
bottom, yeah.
at about 90 wins. But Minnesota actually wins the division at 90 wins, with Cleveland in
Mm-hmm.
second at 85 and Chicago at 83. Chicago is going to be a big
They're
perennial
kind
out.
of the young up and coming team this
Yeah,
year.
and then they signed Hendricks. They've kind of bolstered up their rotation. They're going to
Mm-hmm.
get Kopech back from his Tommy John at some point this year.
Right.
Who's a big part of the Chris Sale deal. And their lineup was putting up numbers last summer. I mean, they did kind of finish the year kind of slow and end up losing 2 out of 3 to Oakland. But I think a lot of people expected them to be higher coming out. So
Yeah,
again,
and it's
it's a lot
funny
of people are just getting mad
because
at simulations, but it's kind of
right, exactly.
funny. It's funny just to
It
see
almost
like
no, sorry, good. You wrap up.
no, that was my wrapping up
Oh, okay, yeah,
the AL part of
yeah.
it.
No, so on the the only thing I'd say there is one, I think they're disrespecting my Jays a little bit too much. I think they're gonna be a little bit better than that, maybe be in the mix there in the division. But going off of what you said about the White Sox, it's funny because if this were maybe an expert's take on it, I could almost see that because you could maybe spin it like, oh, maybe LaRussa, the old guy kind of like maybe it won't work. Like but the fact that the statistics are the thing that's projecting them to come in third is that's what I find a little bit surprising. I could see the non-statistical part of it, like I said, LaRussa and the players, but yeah, the numbers part surprised me a little
Yeah, I think it's mainly their pitching staff because like their
bit. Mm-hmm.
I think runs allowed is projected at like 781, where compared to like Minnesota and Cleveland, they're down like the low 730s, 740s.
Yeah, but
Heck, they have
and then
they have the White Sox giving up more runs than the Red Sox, which is pretty shocking.
oh god, yeah, 'cause who knows what we're rolling out as a starting staff, but um yeah, I think it'll be Houston. I mean, they seem to keep figuring it out. I would think Oakland there, but I also wouldn't be completely shocked if Houston kind of gets back on a roll there with their young core. Obviously Springer out the door there, but they all seem to figure it out. They still have a lot of good young players there. But as we shift to the NL, Mike, I know you said there was a big surprise in the East there with a team that pushed the now defending champs to 7 games last year.
Yes, they have the Atlanta Braves coming in fourth place with about 82 wins.
That's insane.
It's a log jam in the middle at
Mm-hmm.
Washington Nationals getting back up to 85 in second place and Philly up at 83. But then they have the New York Mets projected for 95 and a half wins. They have them running away with the
Wow.
division.
Wow. I mean, I know they've made some improvements, but 95.
Well, they have them
That
projected
sounds
for
crazy.
900. It's depth chart projections and in season regular standings. They're like offensive numbers are at 90. I'm not sure if there's total runs for the year. It's probably not even close, but it's 903. It's like that's some sort of the number. They have a high number for offensive
Yeah.
scores.
I mean, I know their pitching staff is, you have, DeGrom and Thor up there, but
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I mean, I definitely expect them to be improved. I was thinking maybe like mid to high 80s. I was not thinking 95.
Yeah, that's the third highest in the NL by zero point 0.1 wins because they have the
Okay.
San Diego Padres at number 2 at 95.6, and then think by far the highest is 103 for the
Dodgers.
Dodgers. Yeah,
What about the Cardinals? Where they got them at?
they have them. This is the shocker from the Central. They have them in third place with 80.5 wins.
What? Oh my God.
And they have the
Third in the Central. What do you got? Brewers and Cubs?
Brewers and Cubs. Brewers at
Yeah.
80, 89, Cubs at 85. But
Yeah.
I
So
think the Cardinals are going to run away with this division.
I do too. I mean, when you add Arenado to a team that was already, I guess, solid a year ago, and yeah, I just that seems a little. Yeah, I think those are probably the two big surprises. They have something against Tony La Russa, I guess, with his other past squads here. Even the A's not winning the division, going all the way back. But yeah, I think because the Cardinals, the White Sox seem like the two that are really getting disrespected, but also the Braves. I actually, have to throw them in there as well. Them being in fourth would absolutely surprise me.
And I guess one last piece would be, who do you think has the worst record in baseball? I know I mainly touched on the top half of the division, so you can kind of get a
Um, Worst record in baseball. I'm trying to think. Pirates,
second worst. They're at 61.1, and this team's at
the Texas
60.2.
Rangers.
They're naming last place teams. They're coming in last at 67.2.
Okay, then I think I know. Is it? Is it the? Okay, one more guess. Is it the
Yes.
Orioles?
Nope. They're at 66.3.
Okay, all right, all
I
right.
only thought you'd get this because they've been in the news
Oh,
recently.
I know who it's gonna be then.
The Colorado
Colorado Rockies just traded Arenado, their best player. That makes sense.
and,
I think I
and,
would have gotten all the last place teams.
yeah. And I wouldn't be shocked if they end up just doing more of a fire sale and getting rid of Trevor Story as well.
Just start from scratch. That really is a shame that they signed Arenado to that deal and kind of just bailed. So
Yeah. So yeah, just wanted to head on.
yeah, no, I think that
Team.
was fun, and we'll obviously get more into the previews. And we're a little bit far away here. We got about 2 months to go, maybe a little under 2 months till we get some regular season action. But did want to wrap up, and we kind of keep ending in these sad ways, but it's almost like following our PTI. Maybe we can mix in like a quick rundown after or something, just to not in the show so sadly. But we do have a few RIPs to end the show. So that broke during the Super Bowl towards the end of it, which is completely shocking to me, especially because he was at a pretty young age here, just 58. But Pedro Gomez, legendary reporter for ESPN. I remember growing up watching him, especially during the Barry Bonds 73 home runs back in 2001. So I mean, you're talking,
Yeah,
almost 20 years here.
And even during like I think the 05 to like 07 when he was chasing
The
Aaron.
755, yeah, exactly. So a guy who killed the game in two different languages. I thought I saw another story the other day. It was about Schilling in Arizona. About he was a writer for Arizona back in '01, and he called Schilling out in a reporter for throwing Bob Brenly under the bus, and he just like I think it was TJ Quinn that wrote it because he was a real good friend of Pedro Gomez, and just saying that he wasn't afraid to kind of speak up for what he thought. He wasn't going to hide behind anything. And I think there was a story that like right after that happened, he kind of called Schilling on the paper, and Schilling actually walked up to him and shook his hand. He kind of respected the
Yeah,
take there. He wasn't afraid of going there.
yeah, I think in the journalism world, especially in the ones that are going to be writing and following a baseball team because it's a long
Mm-hmm.
grind. I feel like the players will respect the guys that will, even if it's not in your face. I know it's hard now with COVID, but like I know as like blogging is becoming a thing and they're on the locker room
Mm-hmm.
every day. I think they do appreciate when reporters will at least own up to their takes and might be like, "I'm willing to have a
Yeah,
conversation with you."
exactly.
And that's when it happens. He's just like, "Yeah, I just think this, and it's my job
Yeah,
to your job to pitch, my job to write."
exactly.
And
Exactly. It's not like yeah, exactly. It's the respect versus like you said, you kind of nailed it there. So I think that was the story that I found very interesting. And like I said, just again growing up watching him and just been such a staple in baseball for and then again, like I said before, the crazy thing about it, just I think absolutely dominant in two different languages. Anytime just he had an interview with a Latin American player, just seamlessly going back and forth from English and Spanish, and just shows you how much harder it is to break into that field. That I think he's Spanish speaking first, so
Mhm.
um, just breaking into that, and then obviously another thing that he was the most proud of was his son being drafted by the Red Sox, and he's in the Red Sox system right now, and just shows everything I've read was just how great of a guy he was, and just again just turning on ESPN, he was such a staple, and really just I can't believe he's not going to be on our TV for the next 20, 30 years.
Yeah, so I was guys like, Pitcher Jones, what a good guy. Just like seeing him on TV,
Yeah,
enjoy the
exactly. So
broadcasts. Then I even saw like I think when they were playing some games in Cuba, he was very big about like I think he's like Cuban too, and was very
yeah, yeah,
crowded culture. So it's kind of
Right, exactly. So yeah, just gone way too soon at 58. Really, I think again, as someone who I thought was going to be again like a staple on my television the next, like I said, the next 20 years or so,
mhm.
and really given a lot to the game of baseball and seemingly everyone that he was involved with. So I thought it's definitely go out to the Gomez family and everyone over at ESPN, everyone who was connected in some way, shape, or form. Truly going to be missed in the baseball world. And another one that broke today was legendary football coach Marty Schottenheimer passing away at 77 today. He was having a bout with dementia himself, so there was some writing on the wall here, but passed away today. And I thought a stray arrow from the Washington Post today, talking about he's like known for his playoff failures. Like, come on, like, do you need to do that right now?
Especially when like yeah, he might have failed in the playoffs, but he's also like one of the most statistical winning coaches like of all time.
Yeah, exactly. Like I I hated I can't make my pick, man. The Dan Marino basically of coaches.
Yeah,
Just like against stockpiling regular season wins. So again, him gone today at the age of 77. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. And then I think there was another article that the Washington Post also posted about some like terrorist, and it was just like some sort of, it's like, oh, who like founded this thing? It was like a positive on him and then a negative on Marty Schottenheimer. Like, come on, man. Like,
yeah,
let's word these articles a little bit better. But yeah, two sports icons obviously gone over this past weekend. Just wanted to give them a little bit of time. But I think that's pretty much it. Again, we wanted to mainly cover the Super Bowl today, kind of go a quick hit around the rest of the leagues. And I don't know, we're 8 episodes in, Mike. Has been mostly football centric, I think, for a lot of the start of these podcasts, especially the early ones, and then these last couple here. So we're gonna get more to the nitty gritty here of MLB, NHL, college hoops, um, and some early baseball as well. But and then we'll obviously be tracking NFL free agency. I think that's an important thing that's going to heat up pretty quick. But our show is going to take it an early bit of a shapeshift as we head to episode 9 here on the weekend.
yeah. So we're definitely gonna let the sports dictate the
The
rundown.
programming, yeah,
Yeah,
exactly.
so might be light for a couple weeks with just some regular season games going on, but next, in March, between March
Mhm.
Madness going on, and it overlaps with pretty much our MLB season preview. So I might have some hefty ones at like the end of March, but
Right,
yeah, just
right.
let the sports dictate it. Maybe some downtime, hit some pop culture, a couple points here and
Uh,
there, to maybe
yeah, yes,
lighten the mood after some of these.
exactly. Maybe we'll get into some drafts as well. Yeah, maybe draft a couple teams for themes or sports or like I said, pop culture.
Saw that
Um,
Foo Fighters released another album, so I feel like them.
okay, all right, all right, that's good stuff. But yeah, so that'll kind of be what we have going forward. Maybe some experts down the line if we need to, bring on some guests here as we get a little bit more comfortable. We're starting to hit a bit of a groove. Again, we're still working on the Spotify end of things, get everything up and running there. I think that'll be a lot more convenient for some people. We're getting a lot of YouTube views from some of our friends and family, which we definitely appreciate. Uh, in addition to listening, kind of putting us on the big screen. So especially before the big game on Sunday, that was nice to see. So
Yeah, happy we got
um,
the programming views over over some of the like local like CBS. Like we got some of the
oh,
views
like the
over. Yeah,
8 hours of pregame. Yeah, I,
yeah,
I I was getting ready on Sunday. I think at like 11 a.m. I threw on NFL Network and they were already there. But yeah. So again, see a bit of a shift here, and again, hopefully get into some fun stuff as we move forward. But that's all we have for tonight, and we'll see you this weekend.
have a good rest of your week, everyone.